for all of these things, if you stay, put somewhere in Dublin, somewhere.
Thank you, Shelley.
You're welcome.
I'd like to call the meeting to order. Lynn, to call the meeting to order. Thank you. For the call the meeting to order for the Daniel Town Council meeting, Monday, October 7th, 2019. Start off item number 1 with any public comment or concerns or issues not on the agenda this evening.
I would just like to think about something else outside of our town business, if that's possible. I wonder, you all are aware that we have canceled our municipal election for Daniel, but the county, of course, is going to run the election for the school district, the bond election. I'll make sure everybody knows about that. I'm the treasurer for the Taxpayers Association, and we will be sending out a mailer. You'll also be getting a mailer from the school district, which will explain their side, and then we have some information that supplements their information. So anyway, what I would ask of everyone here tonight is that you be sure that you're registered to vote, and talk to everyone that you run into and ask them if they are registered to vote. Make sure that they have the correct address with the counties, because it is going to be a mail ballot again. You can vote in person at the county offices, but we're coming up on this. The ballots will be mailed out starting on the 15th. And you know, with our last bond election we had in 2015, we were aware that there were quite a number of people that didn't even know it was happening. And this year is a $150 million bond. So we want to be sure that you have an opportunity to vote. The other thing that I wanted to mention is that I know some of you were reassessed this year. I was reassessed this year. I understand, I am appealing next week on the 15th, but I understand that Daniel and Charleston area was really hit because they said we had not been, the county's assessor's office said we hadn't been reassessed since 2011. I personally was bumped up in 13 and also 17, and so that's not true in my case, but my taxes are through the roof, and I know some of you all have also experienced that as well. So what I guess I would say about that is that if we can figure out a way as a town council to help our residents try to understand what's happening and how this is going to affect everybody. This bond on top of everything else is just going to be devastating for a number of people. So if there's something we can do, and I will say that the state legislature passed amendment to the urban farming bill this last, 2 years ago they passed it. It goes into effect in January, and it's possible that we might be able to qualify for some greenbelt in some of our smaller acreages. I'm going to research this after I make my appeal for the taxes. and anyway, I'm hoping that when I step into the council seat that I'll be able to, you know, fill in everyone about what they might be able to do and you know, how we go about trying to qualify for greenbelt.
Is greenbelt designated by county or state or both?
Well, see, this is
Okay.
in Wasatch County. It has been administered improperly over the years, and this new assessor is trying to straighten everything up. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. I mean, she told me that there are a lot of people out in Daniel that are not in compliance. I don't know what that means, and I'm not going to pursue it until you know, it's time to do that. But anyway, I just wanted to say, as a council, if we can figure out some way to help people understand what's going on, then I think that'd be a valid and very valuable thing for us to do.
Agreed. Thank you.
So if I hear you right, Mary, your taxes for this year have really went up quite a bit.
Yes.
And what you're trying to tell everyone too is that in 2020, if the bonds pass and we stay on that kind of a path, the property taxes could be through the roof. Is there a possibility that they go up Did they double again?
They wouldn't double again, but, my taxes went up over $4,000 this year. So, you know, when you pile this extra bond on top of that, the notice for the new bond came out, we just got the notice a few days ago. They don't have an interest rate on it. They are giving you an estimate of how much it's gonna cost. But it's, all these are estimates. You remember when we did our bond, you don't know exactly what it's gonna be. They don't know what the interest rate's gonna be. They're speculating they'll get a 20-year bond. They're speculating that they'll get a AAA bond rating, you know. But there's all kinds of questions about this, you know, and so when they put out information about this is what it's gonna cost you, take that with a grain of salt, because it depends on your situation.
Can't Park City pay for some of that school?
You know, I built a lot of those Park City schools. Now we're over here building these schools too.
Yeah.
But
Thank you.
Park City turned down their bond.
But that's not how they work though either. I mean, Park City doesn't get all the money that they collect in taxes. It goes statewide.
No, I'm just talking about the bonds.
Well, I'm just saying that all the money that from Park City that they collect just doesn't go to Park City, it
No.
goes throughout the state.
And same thing with Wasatch.
Yeah.
We don't get back,
Yeah.
we don't even get back all the stuff, all
Yeah.
the money that we send to the state too. So,
Well,
anyway.
when they had the meeting, that they disclosed all that out, and they were just so blatant and just said theirs and didn't really respond to a lot of the questions that the folks had. They just, it's kind of hard changing that direction, that train for those folks. The only way to change that direction is through the school board elections, so.
Well, if you know somebody who run for office, Mark Davis, our representative, is up for election next year. So, we'd love to have somebody else run, and that's for that seat, but hard to get somebody to do it. Anyway, thank you for letting me say that, and if everybody would reach out and, like I say, touch a few people about, make sure they know about it and get registered to vote. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Any other public comment or any other issue that would like to be brought forward before we get Yes.
Did you ever find out anything more about what I was complaining about too?
It has moved, things have been moved forward on that issue, and there has been discussion on that issue, and yes, so things are moving on that issue.
Not as fast as you'd like, though.
Tomorrow? No.
But they are working in the strongest possible way at this point.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Anything else from anybody? Or anything you'd like to add to that?
No, it's just that people that make more per hour than we do. That's where it is.
I know, but I watched conference and they said you're supposed to like your neighbors.
That's a quandary, isn't
I'm
it?
having a dilemma.
That's the key word.
You're awesome.
No, that's true.
Alrighty, if nothing else, we'll go into public hearing. But before we do that, are aware as that postings should be three. There should be 3 postings for the public to be able to access. There are only 2. There was 3, but it came off the state website, so there was an electronic glitch of some sort for the public one, but we recognized there was only 2. So I did a little research and found out that in that case, when something happens, under state code 52.4.202-5, the notice requirement of submission 1, which we're talking about, may be disregarded if, because of an unforeseen circumstance, which would be the electronic filing that didn't get on the state for whatever reason, that we believe it was there and we believe it's gone now. It is necessary for the public body or specified body to hold an emergency meeting to consider matters of an emergency or urgent nature, and the public body gives the best notice possible, the place and time of the meeting. So what I'm trying to get at is we posted it in three spots. 2 were noticed by most folks. We did our best as code required. An emergency meeting of public body may be held, may not be held unless an attempt has been made to notify all the members of the public body and a majority of the members of the public body, which would be us, approve the meeting. So there is a way to have this public hearing, if anyone is wondering. We did do all the noticing that we thought was appropriate. No actions will be taken tonight, and so as a chair, I'd like to ask for a vote to continue on with the public hearing, and we'll have more on this subject matter as this goes forward. So I'll entertain a motion to go to public hearing.
I'll make a motion to go to public hearing.
A motion? A second?
I'll second it.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? None? We're out of regular session and in public hearing. I'll now turn the time out. Oh, sorry. So we'd like to call for the vote for council if we would like to proceed with this public hearing or we would not like to proceed. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the majority makes that ruling, and the majority voted, so we will proceed with that public hearing. We're in public hearing now, so I'll turn the time over to Eric, and he can kind of go through what planning department has brought to us.
Okay, these papers I'm handing out are the conditional uses and uses within it, within all the zones in the town. You just need a copy down here. About back there. Sure. Pam, you're supposed to be up here.
I am?
Yes.
Okay.
Part of the planning commission. Give us a reserve your seat over
Oh,
there.
that's nice of you. You're such a nice guy.
Right there.
You need one, John?
Oh, Jim, you're so good to me.
Thanks for coming.
Could you lower that a little bit?
Has everybody got that? Okay, everybody has a copy of that. So this is the document that the planning commission's been working on. We put a moratorium on conditional uses in the town. It will expire in November. So our 6 months are up. It's taken that long to get through the process of getting this done. Very tedious, there was a lot of discussion on it. We are holding the public hearing to get public input. Things were not added to the code, things were taken away from the code or moved within the code to a different zone that the planning commission thought it would be more appropriate for a use within that zone. So that's what each one did. I don't know if you want to go zone by zone. What would you like to do?
I would like to just know the changes or the how it ended up with all the extractions.
So we had actually some high power, as an example, we had some high kilovolt lines in residential area that would not be used for distribution line. It would be a carrier line going through our town to somewhere else. Those we took out of the conditional use because we didn't want overhead lines that wouldn't be supplying the residents with power. We think that this appropriate zone would be in the commercial zone on the highway corridors, not in the residential zone. So that was removed. Things like that is what we was looking at impacting. And I should tell you that the reason we did this is because the land use training we went to recently, they've indicated that if it's on your conditional use, you will be allowing it. So if it's on the conditional use, then so we took another look at our code at things that maybe shouldn't be there. And so that's why we removed them. Some of them we moved off a conditional into a use if we thought that use was appropriate. So you used to be able to use that as a tool to get conditions. That's not the case now. You can put a condition on it and they can actually appeal that condition and still get their use. So he said don't rely on a conditional use, you being able to keep them out, they will be able to come. So that was the reason that we moved forward with this.
I believe that was completed on October 7th of 2019 as far as the planning.
It was done in September, we set it for the hearing tonight.
Excuse me.
Yeah. Yeah, September 18th. So, what we had to do is we had to go get, the reason that it's coming out right now is because we had to go get our PDF files We had to have the engineering company convert them over to Word so we could actually do something with it, and then get it back into PDF once everything's done and it's adopted. Those changes are adopted, so that's where it is right now. So that's why it's so late coming.
Okay? Open it up to the room, and any other discussions that would like to be had or said, or? Tim, I know you're on the planning department when all this discussion. I heard very good, you thoroughly went through, and you made the motion, so I believe you probably did thoroughly.
Yeah, I feel like the planning commission did a good job on these items. And overall, there was, I would estimate there was only about 12 to 14 were taken out of all of the different zones. There wasn't a lot, but there were the ones that planning commission, I thought did a good job on by removing.
Pam? No, you have
No,
a motion back.
I think we went through them one by one, and we tried to weigh the pros and cons of each thing in that particular area, and take out things that really didn't fit at all. And some things were kind of questionable, but we decided to go ahead and leave them most of the time. So I thought, yeah, we went through them one by one and tried to make a educated guess if they fit there or not. And I think I spent a fair amount of time on it. I wasn't there for every meeting. But yeah, a lot of time was taken, and line item by line item.
Thank you.
Excellent.
I might add the permitted uses were looked at also.
Yes, and they are included in your document. Because we thought if we're looking at conditional, we might as well look at the uses at the same time. So.
I have a question under the RA5. Number 8150, animal specialties for personal use only, except apiaries. What are we saying there? You don't want to allow apiaries?
Maybe there's
These.
the birds.
Yeah.
Recreation.
8150, you said, Mary?
Apiaries.
That's 7,400.
I think apiaries are beehives.
What number are we looking at, Mary? I'm sorry.
8150?
8150, animal specialties for personal use?
Uh-huh.
And your question about that is again, I'm sorry.
What are we trying to say there? I'm not,
And that's a town.
apiaries are beehives, right? I think. I didn't bring my dictionary.
Aviary?
Uh-huh.
I believe that's birds.
AP. Apiary.
Oh,
Aviary is birds. Well, even then, you don't want aviaries? I don't know what it says there. I mean, it's unclear to me.
Under RA
about
5.
beekeeping.
I think so.
R5.
I thought that.
8150.
Yeah, it could be
Animal-
wrong.
Animal specialties for personal use.
Fisher and range, right?
Use only except, oh, okay. I'm not looking at the wrong one.
And then, if what kind of animal specialties would you allow? Yeah, I guess that.
What is that, like hops or stuff, or birds?
And that's a good point, John. There,
Emus or
falcon,
something?
people with falconry would probably have issues in some places or permits because they can do their thing. I don't know what, I'm not answering your question as much as explaining.
I'm just totally in the dark about what that means.
Animal specialties for
Somebody wants to
personal
try
use.
to,
We're talking about like emus and that? Or
Any
anything
animal.
else?
I don't remember any specific discussion about that.
Animal
Except.
specialties.
It could have been
Yeah, that's,
the dog, the
I'm sure that's a B, but that's a typo.
Oh, yeah, because I'm like,
Aviaries.
so you wouldn't allow beekeeping? Because we do have some people with bees.
Well, beekeeping, it falls underneath agricultural, so it actually, because the state regulates that, we can't regulate it.
Okay,
So they would, the state law would trump us on that. They regulate it and they have to be licensed. So the beekeeping is a different animal altogether. That would happen, I want to say 6 years ago, that they started doing the regulation, watching the pesticides and what was affecting the bees and what do they call the hive collapse. So the state started regulating those and they do that at the state level. So you have to be licensed with the divisional occupational licensing or the agricultural. I can't remember which one, but you do have to be licensed to be a beekeeper now.
okay. So if you're meaning this to be aviaries instead of apiaries, does that mean you're not going to allow pigeons or
Well,
whatever? I don't know.
I don't know,
That's my
I guess
question
we need
here.
to look at the old notes, because apiaries is, as Mary alluded to, location where beehives or honeybees are kept.
Yeah.
So did we mean that, or was it apiaries? I'd
Oh,
have
let
to
me
look
take a
back
look
at
at
the
the-
original,
The original ones.
if it was a typo or,
It may have said, it may have been regulated at the time that we was, when we adopted the code, it might have, you might have been able to.
I do there know over the years, there has been discussion of the people that are allergic to it being concerned, what, you know, how close the property line. So that being an issue, not, you know, put them on the other side type thing versus,
Situation with my water, and I turned it off. The water. Great.
It does say, it's a P, that's not a typo,
Oh, it is a P.
it is a P.
Okay, so you're saying now that the state's regulating that.
Right.
So we would allow that.
Yes, we would have to allow that
Uh-huh.
based on the state code,
So.
which
then
is the
what
case
other-
with any of us. State code will trump us, so.
Absolutely. But so what other animal specialties are you talking about? The kennel?
No, kennels is separated out of
Dog
there.
breeding?
We're talking about llamas, alpacas, those kind of animals that people will have.
Tigers,
Pig-
especially
pigs-
tigers?
Pigs are rated
Bears.
different. So all that is under a different. So the conditional uses in the RA5, we took out electric transmission right away over 35 feet or over 38 kVA. The other one we took out was electric substations, gas pressure control stations. These are conditional uses we took out. Okay? Petroleum pipeline in the right of way underground. We really didn't feel like we wanted a pipeline pushing with the recent failures in the pipelines. We didn't figure we wanted that in the town, in the RA5 zone. There may be an appropriate zone that that's in, but we took it out of the RA5. Sleigh ride, wagon ride, farm experience activities that are non-commercial, we took that out, so, because we don't want a commercial operation. We don't care if that happens on a small scale residential, personal level, but we don't want a commercial operation coming in of impacting the traffic, and we thought there would be some impacts that we would not be able to control as a town. So that was taken out. There was nothing added in the RA5, it was just taken out of the RA5. Did that help?
I don't know.
Okay.
I would make a comment that, you know, I'm on the County Board of Adjustments, and we denied a conditional use for transmission lines, and we got overruled by the State Utility Commission, so.
Yeah, well, you can, I can
So,
always take you to
yeah.
court.
No, I don't even know if it was court, they just went to the State Utility Commission and got what they wanted.
They had their code, state code to trump it, probably.
It trumps, you know.
Yeah,
So anyway, you know, like I say, I'm just making a comment because we were disappointed about that too.
yes.
We tried very hard to deny it, and it didn't work.
Trying to think a little bit because I've heard those stories and just trying to think ahead of the game, and if it's in there, maybe that might or might not be a deterrent. Probably not to those folks, but maybe.
Eric, were animal kennels, boarding, and grooming also removed?
It was removed and it was put into the commercial
Oh,
zone. We thought it'd be more appropriate, I shouldn't say we, the planning commission thought it would be more appropriate to be in a commercial zone. With the less impact, that's where the noise and the levels of that activity, people coming and going, we thought that should be in a commercial zone, based on complaints we've had and other things that have gone on. So,
but the existing one,
everything that is existing has been legally created will continue as a continued use.
Do we have any complaints on that one?
Yes, yes. You'd be surprised what we get complaints on.
Any other comment from the public or questions?
I'd be glad to take any emails if somebody sees something in there. That's a big document. It took us 6 months to get through it. If somebody sees something that jumps out at you that you thought maybe should be left, that we looked at, I mean, we'd be glad to have that discussion, I believe, brought to our attention. We're talking about conditional uses in the town, in all of our zones, so.
And with Eric, let him know that we, as a council, he is planning to accept letters and any other comments. As far as the public hearing this evening, is there any other comments or?
I think any of the council would be open to that.
Yes, as far as receiving information?
Yeah.
Right, I didn't mean just Eric, but the council would be, right, absolutely.
If somebody had something, we think we did pretty good.
We'll go into the record for sure.
I do have a question. I don't know when else to address it besides now. In the August minutes that were approved at the last meeting, right at the end, there was a comment made after a closed session. Councilman Blotter made a motion to approve one-night rental, seconded by Councilmember Grady, all members in favor. Is that something that's going to be added into the code somewhere?
No, that's actually regarding a complaint. And so we're doing an investigation with the complaint. And so because we have to do, it was a closed session item, but we did the public business in the public. So that item was talked about in closed session, and then that came out, but that is, we still need to address that again.
So as far as the minute entry, it's referring to a specific place for rentals? Okay.
Places plural.
Okay.
Any other
Good
questions?
catch, good catch.
Somebody actually read it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Any other comments from the public and any from the council? Not, shall I entertain a motion to close the public hearing and go back into regular session?
So moved.
Is it first?
I'll second it.
And a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are now out of public hearing, back into regular session. And item number 3, which is business licenses. We have one renewal, no new licenses at this time.
Actually, I think you guys are
Oh,
here.
okay.
Theirs has been continued. Renewal.
Okay. Joe, I'm sorry, Mary, I misunderstood.
Theirs has been continued once or twice from prior meetings.
Okay.
They were not, they were gonna come last month, so last month they were gonna try to make it, they didn't make it the month before you asked them to be here. So
Okay.
it's been continued a couple of times.
And, okay, so what was your business application and name?
Guys Services, under Adam Larson.
And is it, the application and everything like that, is that right?
Mine has not been processed, yeah.
And tell us a little bit about what that business is going to do and where you're going to do
Just a cleaning business, just,
it. To people's homes or what,
Yeah.
cleaning, so, okay.
that's, deep cleaning
cleans, regular cleans.
There you go, okay. You don't have people come and park and then doing, you know, I mean, you don't have employees come into the house, you're just gonna go do your thing.
Yeah, and then we'll pick people up if it needs to be, but right now it's just us.
Okay. Council, any questions for these folks?
Do you plan on getting big?
You know,
You're gonna stay small?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I go to school full time, so it's more
Well,
just definitely not big.
Okay,
You don't have to fight that. Avoid it.
so that's why we have you come, because if it gets big and start impacting the neighborhood, that's when we have, so that's why we like to ask you questions. Super.
Any other questions for guys' services? Council? Okay. I don't have that paper in front of me, but got a vote from the council side, just for approval of that motion.
I make a motion we approve Guy Services.
Got a second?
I second it.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Approved. We'll get to the paperwork and.
Thank you. Wasn't as bad as you thought, was it?
Okay.
You can stay or you can go, it's up to you, so.
And I think there's just one we know then, Mary, that, okay, so what's the official gear and apparel, so, and we haven't had any complaints on that, I believe. Any comments by the council, anything on this particular application? Sign it.
What's the name of that business?
Out of the, excuse me.
Out west official
Yep.
gear and apparel.
Oh,
Okay.
Motion to approve?
Motion approved.
Motion approved.
Okay, second.
second.
Favor? Aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Where there was no complaints.
That's a great, good deal.
Okay. That takes us on to item number 4, discussion, annual irrigation water shares. Is there anything to be discussed this evening about that? I have not seen anything come up or go since last meeting. Council have any?
We did get some shares. So we are moving forward with the, I guess we probably ought to bring them up to speed, huh? With the acquisition of shares going on, the town has decided that, has made the decision that we have roughly 300 acre feet, and at build out, we will need 600 acre feet for drinking water. So the town has made the decision to expend funds, and we are buying irrigation water and moving that into the well for future growth. So it's limited, we're not buying a lot, we're just doing a little bit at a time. We thought that it would be a good time now to start as we move that forward. We'll see what the adjudication is getting closer, so there could be some, right now, if it's in the city, owns it, it's exempt from adjudication at this go-around, but we will see if that holds. But so the town's made the decision, we did secure some shares, and we have allotted so much a month, and that will change from month to month depending on what we have in the budget to purchase shares, so that's what
I'm wondering if you need to have a special capital fund for those purchases.
Good question.
It wasn't, I don't remember a line item in your budget this year for that, so like I say, I'm wondering, remember before we set aside in a capital fund money for water and for land, for land and for roads. I think that's what.
Yeah, so we still have a road one, but I'm not sure.
And this kind of came up after the budget approval as far as trying to do this with adjudication, pushing some buttons and things.
Yeah, but do you hear what I'm saying?
I understand exactly what you're
Okay.
saying. Yeah, we know there's a category that needs to fall in.
I don't know the answer, but I'm just wondering. And, I think that would be a capital expenditure. What do you think?
Yes, it would be a capital expenditure.
Mr. Probst will be telling us, I'm sure, shortly here.
Yeah, it would be a capital expenditure.
So we should
And
probably,
you could get ahead of it, is all I'm
right,
saying.
yeah, we could definitely set that up,
And,
move some of that over.
Was
We
it
didn't want it on, we just wanna go slow.
Absolutely,
So-
absolutely.
I know that some other things may come into factor to push that along, but we want to be moving in a positive direction.
But the
As far
county-
as,
I'm not against it at all. I don't, no, I think we should have done it a long time before. We tried to do that before, because
Yeah.
it's, you can actually delay use for 40 years.
And-
Or at
and-
least that's what the law read before. I don't know.
Right.
They're changing everything. I know
They
it's
are,
all changing.
yeah.
And as far as that
But
account, if we need it,
municipal-
we'll get it. I mean, we'll find out, because I would think
We
being
can
the,
just transfer some money from one PDI council and that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but the council would have to
But
set.
they'd have to set it up, they'd have to approve
Yeah,
it.
we could
But
go
that's,
over and set that fund
there's
up.
money in the water fund, we can put
yeah, we probably should look into that.
that on a Pandora land fund.
And then that's the other question. Do you take the money from the water, Daniel Municipal Water, or do you take it out of the town
Yeah,
budget?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I'm not sure about that.
So, yeah,
They'd
those
have-
are
they'd have
things
to
that
talk to Ben,
need
maybe.
clarification.
Yeah, and we're just a little bit different here. If you annex into Heber, you give them your water as a condition of annexation.
Yeah,
And so that's how they've been getting their water.
Right.
We haven't done, the only time we required water from anybody is when they start a commercial use, then we get that water so that we have the water to water that commercial use after the developer's gone. So that's been the only time we required water.
Along with the impact fees, if they're connecting to the water system,
Yeah.
would be the other time.
Yeah, we
And
do.
see, that's a good use for those impact fees, maybe,
Where,
possibly.
where has that been going, to the water company? When you have a share come over from a culinary hookup?
It comes into the town, you know, we have
as
those.
far as ownership.
Yeah, the certificate comes into the
All
town.
right.
And so then we'd have to go and get the point of diversion. If we want to take it out of the well, we'd change that use to M&I and pull it out of the well. We can move that point of diversion around, so.
Any other discussion, questions on that? That takes care of item number 4. It's going to be on the agenda for a while. Moving on to item number 5, Daniel Municipal Water. Sally, if you have anything to go over, then we'll turn the time over to, you'll have to talk about the next.
Just for a second, Chip.
What's that?
I'm not sure, Chip, if I'm in the right meeting as far as problems with Storm Haven.
Okay. Yeah, well, you probably are in the right meeting with regards to, is it a water issue?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, normally we wouldn't go over, I mean, usually an individual that would come and we've only opened it for a hardship situation, so people will have to be able to come to us for water building issues. Other than that, a comment or discussion, but as far as a full discussion back and forth between council over something, that may be for a later time, but I know you have some things you'd like to share with us.
Well, that's good if you could tell me at a later time, because I've been put off since July.
So we'll deal with it right now. Let me just talk to Shelley, have her present whatever she's or
Are
ask.
we going out of order?
Number 5.
Yes, we did.
Okay, well, it says 6, so 5 and 6. Yes, we do talk about sometimes.
So you're skipping
I'm
the
sorry.
7? You're skipping the 7?
No, I'm on number 5, Daniel Municipal Water. Review Scion County snow removal agreement, we'll just go with that one since I ended a little bit different. So each year we have interlocal agreement with snow plowing.
Yeah.
We're rolling. As far as that agreement, does anyone have any questions? I don't see an amount per tonnage typically. It's been the same for the last few years. We do $74 per ton. Does anyone recall what was last year, 70?
I don't know, but that's a good deal.
It's 72, it might have been 72, but it was 70-something.
74 per hour?
74 per hour,
That's a wet.
41 per cubic yard of salt, and town sign repair and or replacement will be charged at $56 an hour. So the sign may be an hour, so that's sort of charge plus the signage. Anyone have any comments or questions about that agreement? Okay, Chair, I'll entertain a motion to accept and sign the agreement.
make a motion to accept the interlocal agreement for snow plowing between Wasatch County and Town of Daniel.
Okay, we have a second?
I'll second it.
First and a second, any other discussion on it?
Still a good deal.
All in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes. Discuss Board of Appeals. Moving on to item number 6. So, we have not used our Board of Adjustments for quite some time, and I believe we're going to need to be doing that. So, Eric has been involved in planning, but not necessarily setting up, but in the past has worked with the Board of Adjustments. We need to see if the folks are still wanting to be on it, or still in the area. We know of some people that were on it that are moved out of the area, and so I know as a council, we either need to pick those board members, or do you feel that through planning, that planning department can handle that, setting that board up, or would you not like to set that board up?
Well, the problem is that the planning or the council, that's what they're appealing, is that decision. So what Board of Appeals should be set up under the governing board, which is this board. And planning, the planner, me as a planner would be there to present the planning opinion of what that decision was.
Okay, so, what would the board like to do as far as, we need to find out who is and are willing to serve to fill out the board, and what we need to do to make sure everyone's aware that we're gonna be setting up a board of adjustment meeting. Is there anything specific, Eric, that you know we do need to do besides communicate with the one list we currently have and then find out? I mean, obviously, that would be the first step.
Yeah, and we need to get those people on board. Somebody probably needs to head that up from the council side.
Mayor, if you give me a list, I'll call them, just name one of those. There's a board of adjustments on it, it just hasn't been utilized, you probably haven't seen the paper yet.
We've only had 2 since we became a town in 2006, so we've done a pretty good job.
I know Mary's currently serving for the county. I served on it for the county before, so there are some experienced folks here, but we need to make sure the folks that are on it kind of understand what their duties are. So I'll be glad to communicate with those folks, and Gene and Eric can just get the names to you. Is that okay?
Yeah, it's, who's gonna have that up?
I'll call them,
You okay?
yeah, so if I get the names and numbers, I'll call the individuals
Okay.
and then report back via phone call probably before the next meeting,
Yes.
because we need to find out exactly where we stand.
Yeah, we need to get that. And we can look at adjusting the appeals board now. Several municipalities have limited that down, so it's not a 7-member board. Midway has 1 person. The legislature allows 1 person to make that decision if that's the way you want to set up the Board of Appeals. So we were under the old, but we can certainly look at restructuring if that's something that getting people to volunteer is a tough job.
Well, one individual is a great idea if it's the right person. It's a terrible idea if it's the wrong person.
And that probably depends on what side of the table you're sitting on.
Well, exactly. I don't know, you can comment on that, but anyway, that structure does need to put together, and I will head that up and call those folks. So, any other discussion on the Board of Appeals or comments like to be made?
You got
Is
anything
this
on?
open to the public? Or just,
No, we're just, yeah.
I think it'd be a good idea to have a couple of people on that board. To have 1 person make that decision, you can't spread it around at all. And,
I think there's 5 on there, there's supposed to be 5 on there currently.
Is there 5?
I would say
Yeah.
at least 5
There's
or so.
Yeah.
Right.
And then I don't know how it's structured either, what the title is between those members, or if they have a title.
There'd be a board member, the Board of Adjustments, I mean, it would be just like a council, I mean, they're gonna sit behind a table on one side, hold on. Hi. So it'd be sitting, they are a legal board.
Quasi-judicial is what
There
they
you go,
call
that
it.
term gets thrown around a lot there.
And so they can actually overrule the council, and it can carry a lot of weight, so.
Well, one comment would be at least 3.
Does anybody have any names of people we could contact for this board? Anybody want to throw your neighbor under the bus, so to speak?
It's not too bad, is it?
No, it's not too bad.
Otherwise you wouldn't be on there.
It can be tough. It can be tough.
It's not an easy thing to sit in judgment. I mean, it's a quasi-judicial situation, and you're correct, it can be as few as one. I recommend you have an odd number of people because you don't want a split decision.
5 does usually work just because
It's hard to get 5 though.
it is.
The county can't even get 5. So,
We did catch a little bit of heat for having a husband and wife on ours.
I don't see.
However,
I don't
when the
see any
vote is
problem
taken,
with
they've
that.
never voted the same, so.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't see any problem with those
So we
two
got to that
especially.
point, not a problem.
Put those two on one other person. We're back to one.
Why not just like that other person?
Just say. So, any names we contact? Okay, be expecting a phone call then.
Okay, takes care of item number 6. Sorry for the mix up on the Daniel municipal water part, but we'll stay with that before Storm Haven, so that would be item number 7. So we'll just stay focused on the Daniel municipal at this point.
All right, as the money-wise, or the secretary, everything is going well. We are struggling with master meters, getting them to work, with Polaris. And so bills did go out late, so I changed the due date to later on, so they have plenty of time. But everybody knows that as long as they're in by the 1st, there's no problem. So Daniel is doing good. We had, the overages are starting to go down. You can tell that it's starting to get cooler, and so we don't need as much water. And Gary and them have just been doing awesome. We spent all weekend, since the 30th, just dealing with trying to get these master links going, and I keep hoping there's some other way to deal with this, because they blame it on Polaris, and on Polaris it's.
So is this so my understanding is, it's not really a meter throwing off a wrong number, it's the correlation between Polaris and master meter and.
Yeah.
And so
Getting the information from the master link to the Polaris thing.
And so each has been like a 3-month thing, or it's happened a couple, 3 times or something?
Yes, it's happened a lot.
And are you
It's
manually then tying numbers to numbers, starting numbers with ending numbers, or?
Nope, then they have to go back out and reread and redo it again. And so it's just a lot of time for them, it's just a lot of headache. But hopefully, like I said, they just had one of the guys from MasterLink come up because we just have this problem that it didn't carry over from last month. Yeah.
Right.
And so I said, you're gonna have to go back and read these. And they're like, and I understand they're taking time off work, they have to do, and I understand that, but I can't send out papers without, the right, correct information. And so, but they did have a guy come up and he's like, I don't know why that did that. He couldn't even explain why his meter did that, why they're programming. So I don't know, I'm hoping, but they did get it worked out, and all the bills are sent out. So, but that is for Daniels. I think everything's going well.
Great.
Okay.
Any questions from the council for Shelley? Thank you.
I guess mine's on, as far as water's concerned, my comment is what happened to me is on Storm Haven one. Should I mention that now?
He hasn't hit Storm Haven yet. So.
The next line item. So does anybody have any other questions or comments with regards to Daniel? So right now, we're moving on to Storm Haven water system, which I know you have a comment on. Shelley, before he starts, is there anything that you'd like to comment on, and we'll...
Storm Haven, I got my letter. We are open, functioning, working well. Good job, Ryan. I have been in contact with him. We've got a lot of points dropped off. I need to give you this, Ryan, some updated, a lot more monitoring for the new well, okay, if you'll get back. And other than that, yeah.
We didn't know what it was gonna be, but we knew it was gonna be.
Exactly, and it said one was due to September 30th, but if I just get it, I can do it. And only problem I'm having with the state Division of Water is I go in and I call them and I give them my phone address and I tell them to send it. And they're getting other calls telling them to send information to their other addresses. So I'm not getting things, it's going elsewhere. And so I call them back and say, how did this address come back up? And they're like, oh, they called and told me to put this address back on. So I said, no, please send it to me because I'm not getting this information. So I don't know, I told them, unless it's Chip Turner or Ryan, do not change anything.
I was gonna say, I think there'd be an opera.
You would think, but somehow we're getting, I'm not getting information, I'm not getting my papers. So anyway, so I'm hoping that's worked out. But this is, like I said, I'm excited. I think the numbers have gone down, but it's spring, it's fall. So, but that was a really rough summer. We have people using tons and tons of water, which and draining the system, and then people below couldn't get anything. As you know, as I know, as Ryan and Gary know, we was getting calls 24 hours. It was a rough time. And I'm glad that's over. And I hope that next, and then Mr. McMillan called me, and he had a problem. He left town, and I'll let him move on to his.
And Lynn, before I forget, I know that you still getting an address or mailing to you. I know we've tried to correct that a little bit.
Fortunately, our mailboxes are right next to each other. I look at the mail every day. If there's any town business, I just stick it in yours.
That worked, I just know we've
So
been
it's
trying to get.
handy that way, but I'm confused why they can't get the address straight.
We're trying. Okay, I know you have, something like to come and present to the board and talk about an
Just
issue.
issue that I had, they shut the water off, and I think it was a Tuesday, if I remember right. Anyway, I didn't get a notice that it was gonna be turned off. Well, the water was used in a tank, and the tank went almost empty. But if you wanna pass that around, that's the rock that got involved in it. If you look real close, you can't close the valve because of the rock. So it ran for a day and a half before I came back and saw a nice green flow of water going down the hill to do nothing. So evidently, we got a big bill. So all I'm hoping for is if somebody would help me out with a little bit, because it's $1,041.
And so, without getting into, I would say, all the folks that, until we can make a decision, to stay up on your water bill. I know you might have some conflict of what you're feeling and thinking. We'll
Okay,
take a
sure.
look-see and we'll spend some time, and this is something that, yeah, it is. Yep. That's what, we're welcome to listen and talk to anybody. That speaks to us, we can visually see
In
that.
other words, I wasn't trying to use too much water.
Well, I know things happen. Your side, our side, can you give me a little history on that? That's probably one of your hydrants or something?
This is actually the float valve
Okay,
inside the tank.
okay.
As the 1,000 or more gallon tank goes low, I guess it must have gone pretty much to the bottom for what the line would allow this float. The float hooks onto this. It's just like a toilet, with a float, shuts it on and off. And with that water going all the way down, that rock got in there somehow. And I paid Russell Huntsman to come it out and check it out, and we thought we had it fixed, and then fired it back up, and we still didn't find this little rock. We had to let the tank go back down before we could get to this, and take it off and shut the water off again, and get them back and repair it.
So with the full council being here, that and hearing it, I will personally get back to you on what we said, why we said it, and what we can do.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Just
I did it.
real quick before you go, how long did it run, do you think?
I think it probably ran about 24 hours,
24 hours? And that,
maybe a little less.
okay. 3/4 mile?
You want my mobile or home?
Mobile, or whichever one you want.
Let's go home, 435
Okay.
657 2138. And get them both, Chip. My cell is 801 550 0060.
Okay.
Thank you for your time.
Appreciate it. Okay.
Before we leave Stormhaven,
Okay.
we have changed to a Badger meter up on that end. And we're looking at, they've made some great promises of what their Badger meter will do versus what we have in place right now. And so we have one in our system on the Stormhaven tank. And I would like to move the council towards running a test, allowing them to, so we'd secure 10 meters total, and they're able to run that system and try it out for a few months and see if it's everything that they're telling us it is. Badger used to work in the industrial end and heavy commercial, and they've geared more towards residential now. There's a lot of Badger meters out there on the market, but this program we have, it'll cost about $3,000 to set us up and get us running on that. But if it's what we want, then it will do the reading, and that will come in and we'll be able to actually see when it runs. If this gentleman would come in, we had a Badger meter on his system, we would be able to isolate how much water went through that meter that day. So that information's available online, so you can go on and look at that, and you can, and it has a lot in there. Brian's done quite a bit of research on these. Right now, we are currently paying T&O to go up there and take readings on that meter quite often. And I think that this is a no-brainer to get something that'll do the reading where they don't have to drive up there, so.
And I remember in the beginning, we talked about meters and didn't know if it was the right one or not. They gave us their pitch and they had their updates, and then we didn't get an update, and we finally did, and then we started having a few hiccups. And I guess what I'm trying to say is if after running these and having this new one and trying it, I'm all for getting something a little better for making it easier for the folks reading it and or any of the issues that come up.
So this new system is a different manufacturer. I think we years ago we got bids. We went through and evaluated the master meter, Badger meter submitted along with others, and we did the best we could with what we had, and we thought we made a good decision. And they worked for a long time, a while anyway. But the support has really failed. The meters are still the meters still turn. The readings are still good. I think the physical equipment in the hall works, but there's just a lot of support issues with the software. So this new guy works for other districts that I work with, and he calls you back, which to me is worth a lot. So I'm not saying the product's a lot better, but when it doesn't work, I can call and say, get up here and fix it, and somebody comes up and fixes it. It's worth a lot. The technology's also improved over the last 10 years, and I'm sure tomorrow that what we're buying will be outdated as well. But right now, we have to get in the truck, and Gary and Kim can speak to it better than I can, but you get in the truck and you put this little antenna on, you have to drive around and, you know, near every meter, and all the meters magically come in except for those that don't, and then you drive back around again and you sit next to them and you try to get them to come in. Which at the time was a massive upgrade over the lift the lid and write down the number. This new system is one step better than that. It has a little cellular connection in every meter, and so twice a day it reports to the cloud and it tells you every 15 minutes what the meter was reading. And so every user has a portal, so they can set up email addresses and whatnot, so if you have a leak, it will email you and say you have a leak, not the town, just the system. You have the user portal, and then at midnight on the end of the month, we get a report of exactly what all the meters were, and so we don't have the issue, you know, we read 2 days late, we read 3 days late because of the holiday or whatever. It'll do that all automatically, so it should. Their promises are greatly reduce the amount of time we spend meter reading, and they also have this program that Eric mentioned. Instead of going all out again, we're in a different situation than we were financially. We're not spending grant money. let's take this, put it in a few places and see if it's all it's cracked up to be. And if it's not, we haven't spent a whole lot, and we haven't replaced our whole system with something we don't like. And if it is, then we'll work on how to start implementing it system-wide.